On today's slightly croaky solo Sunday news, who could replace Triple H as head of WWE Creative? Jordynne Grace's NXT TNA Showdown role has been revealed, a TNA favorite's contract is expiring imminently, and an AEW wrestler dislocates their shoulder. Hello and welcome to WhatCulture Wrestling, the solo Sunday news. With myself, Andrew Pollard. I hope you're good, I hope you're well, I hope your weekend is going as well as possible. Mine, in case you're not guessed, I'm a little bit under the weather, but hey, we soldier on because wrestling news. And today we start with looking at who could succeed Triple H as the head of WWE Creative. Now, this topic came up in the latest edition of Fightful Select Answers Q&A, where somebody asked who could take over from the game down the line. Now, to that, excuse me while I just die a slow death here. But to that, Sean Ross Sapp added that how basically there's always a chance that Brian Gewirtz could be brought in to take that spot, which is something I was actually discussing that with a pal of mine a few weeks ago. I mean, previously, Brian Gewirtz was the WWE head writer for years, was the personal writer for The Rock, and is still one of The Rock's go-to people to this very day with whatever The Rock does. And given how Rock is on, the TK board, The Rock has quite the influence, shall we say, as we all saw that in Elite at WrestleMania 40. So seeing Brian Gewirtz brought back into the fold in a permanent way as head of creative, I mean, it isn't all that crazy of an idea when you put things together. Speaking of Gewirtz as well, I've been working through his book lately. There's Just One Problem, which is a very solid read, definitely recommended. A very light and breezy book for the most part. One of those where it's easy just to pick up, read a couple of chapters, put it down again. But away from Brian Gewirtz, Sean Ross Sapp also said that CM Punk could end up being one of the most influential names in wrestling in the coming decades. Which, again, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you see regular reports or photos of Punk at the Performance Center, of Punk already mentoring certain young talents, of being one of those veterans always looking to give back. I mean, you can go back to like CM Punk's Ring of Honor days, where he was a trainer there as well as an in-ring talent as a wrestler. And that's like, 20 years ago now. Now, Sean Ross Sapp also believes that Punk may well end up taking over NXT as and when Shawn Michaels decides to call it a day there. And he also pointed out that Drake Maverick and Bobby Roode, they could be a couple of people who could gain influence in the coming years. I mean, you could see Bobby Roode in a lot of the creative meetings during the first season of WWE Unreal, although with that, I mean, it is fairly common for the producers of certain matches to be in the creative meetings when it comes to those particular matches or those talents involved. Drake Maverick, Rockstar Spud, he's another who's worked behind the scenes for, I don't know, a couple of years now, I believe, helping with creative, probably doing some producer work as well. Now, obviously, plenty can change between now and whenever Triple H is no longer running creative, and this is kind of spitballing, but right now, those mentioned names, they could all become key figures down the line. To me, the one that really kind of fascinates me is CM Punk. Again, you've had him working as a trainer during his ROH days. You always heard the stories from Punk, from Paul Heyman, that even during his early days in WWE and OVW and ECW, that CM Punk would be constantly looking to learn. He'd be the one staying behind to learn how to time shows out, to learn formatting, to learn how to edit, all of that jazz. And also, for me, I just really enjoy CM Punk. I know. CM Punk's style of wrestling, CM Punk's wider viewpoint on the business. Even more so now that he doesn't work with children. I joke. Steady on there, sickos. And while we may one day get a CM Punk-led NXT, right now it's all about NXT versus TNA with Showdown on the way this coming Tuesday. Now, one of those TNA stars who's been seen on NXT programming in recent weeks is Cedric Alexander. Now, while Cedric Alexander has been hyped up by TNA, has signed to TNA as a TNA contracted wrestler, that contract appears to have not been particularly long-term. Now, Cedric debuted for TNA back in June, I believe it was, and I think it was the reports came out the next month in July that he'd signed with the company, which was that's a great get for me. That's like a no-brainer signing for me. Cedric Alexander is a heck of a worker. However, Fightful Select now reports that this deal was a fairly short-term one, to the point that it is due to expire around the time of next weekend's Bound for Glory, meaning, as it stands, Cedric will be a free agent extremely soon. Now, this report also adds how there are a number of TNA deals up around this same time, with TNA working on renewing several of those deals. Now, no names are given here, but there were recent reports that Masha Slamovic's TNA deal, that was up soon, which, I mean, there's all kinds of questions about her future right now after the events of the past couple of weeks. I mean, previously it looked to me anyway that Masha, again, a hell of an in-ring talent, was WWE bound, but now you really have to question what lies ahead there. But Matt Cardona, that's someone who was, again, recent reports have said that he's already working for TNA while not under contract, but that's kind of kind of often been the case for Cardona. I mean, Matt Cardona just kind of bets on himself, makes his own schedule, and busts his ass cleaning up wherever he goes, the Deathmatch King. And for those wondering, this Fightful Select report does mention the Hurt Syndicate and Cedric Alexander, because that is something that's always going to be a topic of speculation. Now, on that, this report notes how Cedric joined the Hurt Syndicate. That is something that the members want, but obviously it's something that yet is to happen, and it's uncertain if it will. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but I don't know. I'm kind of digging Cedric in TNA, so we'll see with that one. But sticking with TNA and that NXT Showdown, and Jordynne Grace's role has now been revealed for Tuesday's crossover special. Now, of course, Jordynne Grace has a long storied history with TNA, establishing herself there as one of the best women's wrestlers, one of the best wrestlers on the planet, spending what I think is 7 years there, becoming a 3-time Knockouts champion, kicking all of the ass, and becoming the top dog in the company's much lauded Knockouts division. Nowadays, though, Jordynne Grace is obviously a WWE talent, currently an NXT talent. And last week's NXT show saw her wanting to represent TNA. But Kalani Jordan, the captain of the Women's Survivor Series style teams, that's easy for me to say, Survivor Series style teams. Yeah, but Kalani was not too keen, not knowing where Jordan's loyalties would lie, if she can be trusted. I mean, this is the one and the same Kalani Jordan who's repped TNA for like 1 week herself, but I digress. Anyways, as revealed on social media over the weekend, Jordynne Grace will now act as the special guest referee in that women's match. That is Team NXT versus Team TNA. You've got JC Jane, Sol Ruka, Miss Parker, Lola Vice against Kalani Jordan, the Inspiration, and Mara Sade, which is... quite the TNA representatives there. I mean, you've got one current WWE star and then 3 former WWE stars. Now, I know a lot of the Knockouts division are ex-WWE names, and TNA has just lost Ash by Elegance, Dana Brooke, and not to mention Masha Slamovich, of course, is now off the table. So I get that, but could we not have got a more TNA team here? I mean, Rosemary, maybe Rosemary, Alicia Edwards, Danny Luna, Jolie Threat, Killer Kelly is always a fun time. But anyways, Jordynne Grace will serve as a special ref in that 8-woman tag. Well, 8-woman Survivor Series style match, which I'm presuming means elimination rules rather than one fall. And also, does Joe Hendry now get added to the men's match in a similar role as a special ref? Maybe, we'll see. But while the role of Joe Hendry is up in the air a little, someone who literally loves to be up in the air is Bandido, the high-flying Bandido, one of the best in the game right now. But Bandido, he dislocated his shoulder on Friday competing for CMLL, as he defended the ROH World title against Hechicero. Now, Bandido he revealed this himself with a picture on X, explaining how his shoulder popped out of place mid-match. And there's a picture there of him with his shoulder in a sling. Sorry, my voice is about to tap out. But I'm nearly done. We're nearly there. And I'm fearing not for Bandido, for Tony Khan has confirmed that Brodido's scheduled tag match against Okada and Takeshita on this week's Title Tuesday Dynamite, that is still going ahead, which, I mean, that is quite the call, just for me personally. Anyways, I mean, you know, give the dude a week off, maybe. I mean, that match, if Okada Okada and Takeshita win, they get a tag team title shot, whereas if Brody King or Bandido get the win, they receive a shot at Okada's unified title. But still, could we not have just, like I said, give him the dude a week off, maybe? Does this match really need to happen this coming week? I don't know. But then this is the risk you run when you allow talents to work for outside companies, I guess, even if that company, in this case, CMLL, is a partner. I mean, I'm all for talents working elsewhere, having that flexibility, that freedom of movement, I guess you could call it. But sometimes I don't think, I don't know, me personally, I don't think I'd be letting my wrestlers work for other companies when I've got creative plans for them on my own programming. Just there's always a risk of injury whenever somebody steps between the ropes. So why take that chance? Especially when it's someone, in this case, Brodido, who you've got factored in a fairly big spot right now on TV each week. I mean, for Bandido, it's one half of the AEW Tag Team Champions and your Ring of Honor World Champion. But anyways, despite dislocating his shoulder, despite being in a sling, Bandido will indeed still be in action on Tuesday, the Dynamite Special Title Tuesday. That'll be going up against NXT TNA Showdown, an AEW homecoming too, of course, from Daly's place, which is always cool. Although then, when I think about it, unless I'm missing something for a show that is titled Title Tuesday, there's only one announced title match right now, I believe, which is Mercedes facing a mystery opponent for the TBS title. And it was someone from Florida, I believe, were Mercedes' words. So, I mean, for me, I'm totally guessing it'll be Dakota Kai. I mean, obviously she's from New Zealand, but I'm presuming she lives in or around Florida these days. I mean, that is a total guess from me. But a lot of those who've been in the NXT system tend to live in Florida and then kind of just remain there. So that is my guess. But yes, Title Tuesday with only one title match announced right now. We'll have to see if more gets added in the next coming days. I'm sure they will. But be sure to check out this other excellent video that is floating around here. I'm off to do a bit of editing and just take lots of medicine, and then catch up on UFC 320. Although I've had the main event spoiled already, but hey, that's my own fault. But this has been What Culture Wrestling, the solo Sunday news. Myself, Andrew Pollard. Be well, stay safe, and I will catch you next weekend.